Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this BDVe Webinar Series. So today we have the pleasure of having one speaker who is going to provide us with insights and suggestions about how startups and SMEs could be ready to get investments. But before that, please allow me a few words about this BDVe Webinar Series. This webinar is part of a series where we will be inviting speakers from different organizations and innovation projects to talk about their experience working with big data and artificial intelligence. By the way, I take this opportunity to invite you to contact me anytime in case you believe you have a topic of interest and would like to be a speaker of one of our upcoming webinars. The goal of these webinars is to show the value of big data, both from the technical and business perspective, as well as touching some topic of interest of our community, lesson learned, best practices, innovative solutions, societal debates, etc. Anything that is of interest for the community of big data and artificial intelligence. We run at least one webinar per month, typically on Tuesdays at 12, like this one. But stay tuned, as the schedule may depend on the context, such as the availability of speakers or avoiding coinciding with specific events that are important for our community. We will run one more webinar before the end of the year on December 17th about the impact of big data in the bioeconomy sector, showcasing the results of the BDVe project, which is actually finishing by the end of this year. So please, if you are interested, go to our webinar webpage listed here and register to this webinar as well. In this URL, you will find also more information about the past and future webinars, as well as links to all previous recordings and slides. So some housekeeping before jumping into the webinar. Please, if you have any question for the speaker, please write it in the chat. At the end of the presentation, I will provide the speaker with your questions, and he will be able to answer them. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to check the main interest of the audience, also as a kind of feedback and recommendations for the speaker, and at the end of the webinar, you will have also a small survey where you can give us feedback about the webinars and how to improve them. So let me ask you one question that I will circulate now. 1 second. Okay, I'm initiating one of the questions. So the first question is about your profile. So please let us know if you're more interested in technical aspects or big data, more in the business side of the application of big data. So I give you a few seconds to answer to the question, and I will let you know the results in a couple of seconds. So I'm closing the poll. So from what I see, most of the people here in the audience are more interested in the business or sectorial application of big data. It's around 70%, while around 50% are also interested in technical aspects. So let's go to the second and last question, which is more related to the topic of this particular webinar. So I'm initiating the poll now. So the question is related to if your organization is interested in raising funds. If you are an SME or a startup and you would like to raise funds in the near future, just please answer to the first question with the first answer. The second answer is more related if you are an investor, just to let us know if there are investors on the line as well. And the last one is if you are not interested at this moment, but you could be interested in the future. So I give you a few more seconds to answer to your question. Okay, so I'm closing the poll. So it seems that we have an audience that is interested in raising funds. Nobody is an investor apparently, and everybody is interested. So thank you for this. I think this will be also a good input for our speaker today. So without further delay, let me introduce today's webinar and the speaker. So we have the pleasure of having today with us Tony Belling, which is the CEO of Answare, who has a proven track record, among other things, in putting in contact investors and startups and SMEs. He's precisely going to give us advice and materials how to make easier this type of engagement between companies, small companies, and investors. So without further delay, let me hand it over to Tony. So Tony, as we speak, I'm going to give you presenter rights and therefore you could present your slides. So Tony, you have the presenter rights right now, so the floor is yours.
Okay, Thomas. Okay, good morning, everyone. So I have started myself. I mean, this company now it's 18 years old, and I'm just creating now a new startup in September. So I'm very much interested in how to get investment and started to collect information about how to be successful and how to get this investment money that we all need to start our endeavor. Okay. So my talk today is to help you. I'm not going to give the magic solution about how to get investment. I'm going to give you some insights and hints about the way to help you to get investment through all the communication I've been doing and all the reading I've been also doing and all the contacts I've made, and so that we can maximize your funding for the future works. Okay. First of all, I would like just to precise that what is the main difference between an SME and a startup. The SME gets money, has got customers, and a startup basically is scaling. Okay, so that's the main difference between startup and SME. Okay. So some tips that you are going to find out. Sorry, do you hear me? Yeah. Is a successful startup is being distinguished from others because it learns from its mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that many times today, but you don't have to be worried if you fail, because you will fail and you will learn from your failures. Failure is an integral part of the search for a business model. I'm talking about business model. I'm not going to talk about business plan. Okay? Because why? Because no business plan will survive the first contact with the customer because it is too static. We're going to see that afterwards. So for an investor, what is important is not the product, but how to put the product on the market. Okay. So some tips that you have to get in mind before you start. Okay. Okay. So there are some traditional models for product development. You are familiar with this schema. With when you want to introduce new products on the market, you start with the seed and the concept of the project idea, and then you develop the product, and then you make the alpha, beta, and so on testing, so that you start to try to find out on the market what is the level of acceptation, and then you get your first customer. This is extremely static. This is extremely static, and it can take a lot of time. And your company can die before you reach each of the steps because you are going to spend money, especially for the development of the product. And the main, let's say, drawback of this is that you don't have yet contact with the customer. So this is also what happening with this waterfall model, where you start with the requirements, and then you've got design phase and implementation, and then the verification of the maintenance. Okay, and basically this kind of model doesn't work any longer because you don't get here the feedback from the customer. So all these models that we are used to today, I mean, are obsolete. You need to find new models so that you get closer contact with the customer at the very early stage of your business. Okay. So 9 mistakes when you try to of this model, product introduction model. You assume that you know what the customer wants, and I think we all fall into the same mistake. Okay. And I know what to build. You focus on the launch date. Okay, you've got a fixed date, and you want to reach this date, and you want to have the product ready by this date. You first focus on execution, and you don't focus on hypothesis and testing and learning and iterating. Business plans are static, and they presume there is no trial and no errors. They are not dynamic enough. Okay. Jobs as well shall be considered differently in a startup than in a big company. We will see afterwards the profiles needed. And sales and marketing also execute a plan. There is some presumption of success that leads you to scale prematurely and fail. And then there's a management of the crisis that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it leads to a death spiral where the company dies as well because decision making is not proper. Decision have not been taken adequately and at the right time, and then company dies. Assuming you know what the customer wants on day one, it's all based on faith. You guess. You've got no customer, you get the problem of the customer, you find out, you imagine what the business model could be, and you decide the product and start spending money because your first target is the first customer ship. All this before talking to one single customer. We all made this mistake where we got the proof of concept and we get the money, for example, from grants from the European Commission, and we get 9 months to develop a proof of concept, and let's see afterwards what's going to happen, if I'm going to get investment, and so on. But you don't talk to the customer, so you don't know what the customer wants. Because we all are clever, we all have very good ideas. All the ideas are good, excellent. And today, at this precise moment, sure that somewhere else in the world, somebody is going to do the same as what you are doing. Okay, so we all are thinking that we have got the best idea in mind and we are going to be successful and we are going to set up the steps like development and then find the money, but we don't talk to customers. To succeed, then you have to turn your hypotheses and guesses into facts as soon as possible. So your hypotheses have to be facts, something tangible. And for this, you've got to get out of the building and ask your customers if your hypotheses are correct. Get out of the building means, okay, I'm a software coding writer and I'm very comfortable to write code. I'm happy, I'm developing the best idea in the world. This doesn't work. Okay, fine, it's good for you if you want to be a software developer. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to test this out of the building. You have got to get out of your office. You have to get out of your zone of comfort. And then you might have chances to get success. Okay? So the aim here is to quickly change hypotheses into facts. 2, I know what features to build because I'm clever. So the founders of the company, they know, they assume they know the customers, and they assume they know the features the customer needs. They proceed with this waterfall development process for a year or 2, and without customer contact. No interruption. I've got 2 years cash flow in the bank. I'm going to develop it, and I've got no contact with the customer to validate if my idea is correct. And then the progress is measured with lines of code. And this is resulting in mistakes in the development of the product, which is very costly and time-consuming. So second mistake not to make. Focus on the launch date. All the business areas focus on the launch date. The engineering for developing, the sales and marketing, we're trying to figure out how we can reach the launch date that we can approve. There is an event where we target focus to have the product ready, we're going to make the presentation and so on. And there is nothing in the plan that tolerates wrong turns. So no delays are accepted. which is not acceptable. We should accept delays because we have to validate our idea. All these test cycles, alpha, beta, and release, but no time to improve the product. So everybody has got the ship date in mind, but first of all, the company has to understand who it's selling to and why they're buying. We emphasize on executing instead of hypothesis, testing, learning, and iteration. So you have heard that many times, get it done and get it done fast. Okay, that's a culture that is wrong. We should not focus on the execution of the business plan that is static. We need to operate in a search mode, and that's the main advice to be taken out of this talk. Maybe you have to search first and then test and validate your hypothesis, but not executing a plan because it won't work. Okay. So in practice, we start with again this set of initial hypotheses, guesses that might be wrong, and we have to pivot, we have to come back, and this is the ability to learn from our mistakes that distinguishes successful startups. Traditional business plan presumes there are no errors. We have plan. We provide a plan to the board, the founders. This is what we're going to do. We've got the milestones, engineer to the alpha, beta, and so on. And then if the project doesn't work, then everyone starts to fix a problem. Okay? And so there's a big amount of resources dedicated to only one single thing, which is to fix a product. Okay? Financial progress is tracked with metrics like income statement, balance, traditional instruments, but sometimes there's even no revenue to measure. So everything is put in place and we follow a plan, we execute a plan, because we believe the plan is going to be correct and will not fail. What we should do is to ask yourself about results of the tests and experiments to validate all the components of the business model before you go to the next stage. Jobs. Jobs in a company are all well known. You've got salespeople, you've got marketing people, you've got engineers, and so on. And sometimes these job titles cannot be replicated in a startup because we need different profiles. For example, this early stage startup executive need different skills from traditional skills. We need to find people who are comfortable with change, with chaos, with risk, with situations that are embarrassing, and who learn from failure. And people can work without a roadmap, so they can change their mind every day, and they can also have a different hat in terms of profile during the same day. So people are used to change, not people who are comfortable doing the same work every day. Also sales and marketing executive plan. We hire vice president executive with strong skills that are not adapted to startup, and then this doesn't work. Measuring progress against a product launch revenue plan is forced progress because absence of customer feedback. So we should search for an understanding of customers and their problems and assumptions with facts. Presumption of success leads to premature failure. Business plan, forecast, product execution model, no room for error, no room for learning, no room for iteration or customer feedback. We should stop and slow down hiring till you understand who is your customer and get his feedback. There's no point to hire sales and marketing if you don't have clear in your mind who are you are going to sell to. This is the role of the founder to do this job, to go out of the building, talk to the customer, get the feedback, and then you hire. So the hiring and spending should accelerate after you have been able to predict your business model and to repeat it and to make it scalable, not before. Management by crisis leads to a death. First of all, we find out that we have been following the traditional way of working. The sales start to miss the numbers. The board becomes worried. Every time in the board, even investors, the board meetings become very tense because how are we going to make money? We lose money and we lose more and more money. Immediate measure is to fire the sales VP, fire president, and we find a new one, we present a new plan. The plan doesn't work maybe, but he has got maybe a few months to put the plan in place. It can take a few months till it is executed, and then it dies again. And the problem is that no business plan survives first contact with customer. So all of these 9 things I've been talking about shows that failure is part of the search for a business model. So don't worry if you fail, you will succeed at one point. It will take time, but you've got to follow the right steps. And the procedure that I'm using, because I've been talking to a lot of people, is this approach from Steve Blank. It comes from a book. I will show you the book at the end, Startup Owner's Manual. I don't know if you know about it, but it's a very good book about how to explore how your product will get into the market. And there are basically 2 different phases: the search phase, which is the most important phase, and then the execution phase. So the search phase is composed of 2 sub-phases: customer discovery, where here you receive a minimal viable product, and the customer validation. And here you can pivot. Pivot means that you can change your mind all the time. Okay? Till you validate that the idea is suitable for scaling. You have got in mind the business model that is suitable. Don't move to execution before you're not sure. People, engineers, sales, marketing, VPs, founders are now convinced that they have in hand a successful business model, not plan, model. Then you create customer creation, so you build the community and you make the money and you build the company. We don't talk anymore about startup, we talk about the company. But before you talk to investors, work a lot on this search phase. If you work a lot on this search phase and you get the results and you can show them to the investor, you are really in a good shape to get funding from investors because you have been doing all the job, you have been validating your hypothesis, you have been transforming your hypothesis into facts, and you have been able to come up with figures, and you have been able to understand the problem, you have been able to convince the customer that the solution is a good one, and just after you can scale, this is where the investors is interested on how you can make money out of your idea. So this customer development process with these sub-phases, so you've got the customer discovery, where you've got the product solution fit, you propose a minimum viable product and propose channels. And then you validate with the customer and you define your business model and the roadmap for sales and marketing. And you pivot. If it doesn't work, then you come back to the customer discovery. And this can take time, but at least it will ensure you that we get at the end a good business model and a good solution for the future. If you don't pivot, which I doubt you're not going to pivot because you can't get the right product at the first time, but this phase can last for months, maybe years, so all depends afterwards about the cash flow you have in your bank account. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that afterwards. And then the execution phase is the customer creation. So yeah, you put in place your team to sales, and then you go out the company and you scale. And in this phase, maybe the founder is not anymore part of the company. He's been doing an exit, or maybe has been given some money to leave the company, but you put in place some people with experience in running a company. Okay. So we lose this vision from the founder in the 2 first steps, customer discovery and customer validation. And in the customer creation and company building, we have got people with experience in running companies because we can't do everything. So the customer development, all these phases, I'm going to go through them. 4 phases: customer discovery, captures the vision of the founder, and returns it into a series of business model hypotheses. We have a plan to test the customer reaction to this hypothesis, and then we turn this hypothesis into fact. Validation, we test if the business model is repeatable and scalable. If not, we go back to this customer discovery. So repeatable and scalable, and this is what is going to be of interest to the investors. This is what we have got to demonstrate. Then the execution, creation, start execution. You have the sales channels, scale the business, and the company building. You make the transition from a startup to a company focused on executing a validated model. Again, here I repeat different skills. In the discovery, then get out of the building again, escape from your work, and talk to your customers to test their reaction to hypotheses, get their feedback, and adjust the business model. So this is the hardest stuff to do because we all feel comfortable working from our office and so on. But this one, if you don't do it, you will fail. So we learn about problems of the customer, the features of the product they want that will solve their problems, and the processes for approving and purchasing products, for example. So all of this will be useful for you to build your product, to have a successful product, to highlight your differences with other products, and propose reasons why customers should buy. So all of this is of interest for the proposal deck, for the pitch you are going to make to investors. If you have done the job, then you've got a lot of chances to get investment from investors. So in a startup, the founders define the product vision, and then they use customer discovery to find customers and a market for that vision. Sorry, it's again about the discovery. So two phases, not validation, is a discovery. Two outside the building phases, test customer perception of the problem and the needs to solve the problem and show the customer the product for the first time. Minimum viable product that will solve the problem or fill the needs of the customer. When the customers confirm the importance of both, so the perception and then how to solve it, the problem and the solution, and the customer discovery is complete. And pivots might happen, failure will happen, it's normal in the startup process. So the minimum viable product, I guess you all know what it is. It's an integration of the product. So don't go through this waterfall development process, expensive, lengthy. Try to have very short iteration using agile methodologies, and try to, let's say, reach what you think is a minimum viable product. Not a product yet, but you decide what's minimum, and the customer will decide if it is viable. So there are many types of ways to do MVP. I'm just mentioning here some of them, but you can do, for example, a landing page, for example, could be a minimum viable product. You show what the result of the page will be to the customer and try to engage him to conversation and try to get him that he gets confidence on you, your ability to develop it, and the scalability of the solution. The validation proves that the business tested and iterated in the customer discovery is repeatable and scalable. And you can turn that your company into a profitable company. So what you test here is scale is the product, the customer acquisition, the pricing channels, not only the product itself, but everything around the product. Then you get another number of customers with another round of tests. So you go larger and larger, and every time more rigorous and more quantitative. Then you develop the sales roadmap, and then the validation is measured by test sales. So you do the test sales slowly but smoothly, and you get feedback from them, and then you grow. Once you have got this, no problem for you to get investment. Discovery and validation as a summary. We verify the product's core features, we verify the market's existence, we identify who our customers are, we test the products, perceived value and demand, we identify who's going to buy, we establish a pricing and who's going to sell and how to sell, and we check out the proposed sales cycle and process. So everything here is prepared for you to scale, which is customer creation, which is the next step. Of course, we've got to be careful about the money we spend here, but in principle, most of the job here is done by the founder. We don't have yet salespeople hired, so the money is minimized. And by doing these MVPs, by doing this iteration with the customers, you can limit a lot of money spending and validate your product very quickly. If you really do fast, you can do quick as well, and then avoid to spend big amount of money and die. Value creation, it builds a company sales success at the beginning. We've got to spend money here to create and this demand, drive to the sales channel. This is where we need investment. But since we've been doing the job beforehand with customer discovery and customer validation, then we are in good shape to get the money. Then there are different startup types. We can get into existing market that are well defined by their competitors. So we've got competitors, we know who they are, so we know what is a market. We can create new markets where no product exists or no company exists, and we can maybe also resegment, so a mix of the two. For example, we can get into a market as a low-cost entrant, and we create a niche here. Every market type strategy, of course, demands different customer creation activities and costs. So it all depends on the strategy you have and the product you have. At the company building now to find a scalable, predictable business model, you are now a company. You refocus the energy of the team away from search. It's not searching anymore. We have been founding this model, and now we focus on execution. I said at the beginning, we don't focus on execution. Now we are in a phase where we can focus on execution. Now you have got structured department, the sales, marketing, business development, with this as we are all used to know. Okay. Now, this entrepreneur, the founder who had the vision, is no longer the right person to lead the successful company. So he has to accept to leave. Maybe he has got the skills as well to lead the company, but in theory, he should have his team maybe a role in the company, but maybe not the role of leading as a CEO of the company. And sometimes it's hard because it's your baby. But if you want your company to grow and really to scale, and you have got to accept that people are going to work together with you in a team, and people are also maybe going to do these responsibilities of leading the company that you are not going to achieve any longer. But anyway, you will get the money, so no problem. So some rules derived from this customer development process. There are 14 rules. I'm going to go quickly through them. On day one, we are a faith-based enterprise. So we believe on guesses. Guesses that are based on the vision of the founder. I'm going to do this because I think I'm really going to be the best solution in the world for solving this problem. But we don't have facts. So the job of the founder is to translate his vision into facts. And the facts we out of the beginning, where customers are, and this is where you need to go. This is very hard, but this is fundamental. This separates the winners from the losers. Go out of the building. And it has to be performed by the founder, not the employees or the consultants. Why? Because employees, they don't like to report bad news to the high-level management. And the consultants, they don't feel the company because they're hired as just consultants and they do what you want them to do, but they don't feel the company as the founder is. mix this customer development process together with agile development. This customer development is useless if you can't iterate the product with speed and agility. So using agile methodology, like for example Scrum, will help you to continually get the input from the customers and deliver a product that iterates around an MVP, minimum viable product or minimum feature set. So iterating using agile is the best approach to focus on. So before the company starts the creation, you should think about how to have this customer agile development partnership. Failure is part of the search. Failure in an existing company are exception. In exception, you have got a company running, and when you make a failure, then you correct it. But normally the company is running, so it's not common to have a company that makes failures every day, for example. On the other hand, for startups, is every day. You go from failure to failure. You are searching, you are not executing. You try experiments. Okay, so there will be a lot of wrong turns. But you have to understand that failure are not really failures. They help you to grow up your company in the future. So you need to fail to be successful. So when something doesn't work, successful founders orient themselves to new facts. So agile, frequent iteration, testing again, pivoting, more testing, and so on. But failure is part of the search. Make continuous iteration in pivots. Pivot, we're going to see now the business canvas from Alex Otterwachter. So a pivot is a change in one or more of the 9 boxes of the business model canvas. In the product, in the key resources, and so on. You have to pivot. It can happen to all of the 9. So best startup founders don't hesitate to make the change. They admit what hypotheses are wrong and adapt. And this is also what I said before, the profile of this kind of stuff, people are different from traditional people. Use a business canvas instead of a business plan, because some investor coming from business school doesn't know any better than a business plan and want to see one. Everyone is asking you for a business plan. But once you have delivered a business plan, it's useless. Why? Because it's static. It's static, it's a collection of improven assumptions. And the difference between static and dynamic business model is different between you to be successful or not. So use this business model canvas. I'm not going to go quickly through that because I guess you all know what it is. But business model is better than business plan. And if the investor asks you for a business plan, it should be a pile of this canvas. So showing you have been iterating, showing that you have been doing research many times, and showing that you've been proving that what you present to the investor is at the end the result of all your work through the customer delivery and customer validation. So the business plan should be compilation of business canvas, other business canvas. About the canvas, the what is the value proposition, what the company offers, how the key partners will participate in the business and the motivation to do so, the key activities to implement the business model, the key resources to make the business model possible, the who, customer relationship to create demand, segments, users and who is going to pay, and the channels to reach customers and offer them the value proposition. And the how much, the cost structure, so the results from your business model, and the revenue streams, which are generated by the value propositions and show you what you are going to get as income. Rule 6, design experiments. How do you test? And what do you want to learn from this test? Ask yourself, what insight do I need to move forward? What is a simple test I can run to get it? How do I design an experiment to run a simple test? For example, mock-up our web page. You create a demo prototype and don't do this complete development, but small pieces you can show and validate outside. About the market types, there are different types of relationship between the product and the market. Either you bring the product into an existing market, a new product in a new market, and a new product into an existing market, and you try to extend the segment. The majority of startups are not pursuing no market and don't really know what the customer will be. You've got your idea, but you don't know your customer. So the market type will influence everything a company does. And also the strategy and tactics that work for one market type doesn't work for another. So you have to be careful about what is your market and what do you want to do. And the approach you are going to follow will be different from the type of market you are trying to reach. The metrics also are different from the startup than from a company. So you have got to think as a startup because you are converting guesses, hypotheses to facts, and instead of measuring a static business plan. So you have got to ask yourself the following questions as metrics. Have the customer problem and product features been validated? What is a minimum feature set for customers? Who, in fact, is a customer? So have you been able to validate the value proposition, customer segments, channels with customers through face-to-face interaction? And other factors like, for example, average order size. So how many orders do you get every month? Customer lifetime value, how much do you think the customer will stay as customer for you, and so on. The revenue per salesperson, how do you believe one salesperson of your team is going to make as revenue every month? Also, you've got cash burn rate, when you are going to reach a turnover, when you are going to hire people. So all these metrics are different than the metrics for a standard company that already exists. Fast decision making. Of course, money is limited, and the ability to be careful. Speed matters inside the company. Okay, you can pivot, but you can pivot forever. So the decision making is extremely important because we are in front of uncertainty. So we have got to accept a certain degree of risk when we make a plan and make decisions quickly based on facts and not on feelings. Decisions for a startup are two. You can revert decision, we adopt or we drop a product, or for example, we cannot reverse it. We fire an employee and launch a product. We have to be used to face these kind of conditions. So make decision quickly and think about speed and tempo, like using Agile, are really parts of the startup DNA. Passion. Startup people think different. It's not 9 to 5 work, it's 24/7. But I think you know that already. I just put on the slide that what I think is important to know is that we are different people because we think different. Doesn't mean that we are right. We just have some passion, some new ideas, and we are not comfortable by doing the same thing every day all our life. Startup jobs, we need people open to learn and discover, so curious, creative. We need people who are eager to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. People agile enough to deal with daily change and act without a map in your hand, so take decisions and make decisions quickly and often. You can do different type of job in the same day. So you can be maybe a developer, you can be a sales, you can be thinking, depending on the hurry you have in the company. And don't be afraid to celebrate failure because at the end we help. Yeah. Cash. Money is limited, so it's pretty crucial to minimize waste. Don't hire sales and marketing entity founders to have hypotheses and facts. I repeat again, the workload at the beginning is on the shoulders of the founders. So don't hire sales and marketing and try to preserve the cash while you search for the repeatable and scalable business model while searching. Then once you scale, you can spend the money. When you scale, you can ask yourself, if you add one more salespeople or more marketing money, will it bring you more profit? You have to think about all these questions. Then, when the management and the board are talking about not only the founders but also the investors, when they agree that found a scalable business, then they will invest in dollars, and they will clear the end user demand and drive customers into the sales channel. Communicate. Don't be shy. Don't work on your own. Communicate to people what you are doing. So with your employees, very important, with the co-founders and investors. So for example, having weekly company meetings, you keep employees informed about the search mode, how is it going, how many customers you met, what have you been validated, which facts are tangible, and so you inform about the company and you create confidence that the company will go further. And the same for the board meetings, to let investors understand the progress in the search for the business model. It's quite important, the trust between you and the investors and the team who is developing the product. So don't keep your problems in your mind don't keep them back home for you, but share your thinking and talk about the good thing and talk also about the bad thing. And if you talk about the bad thing, you have to talk also about the solutions to sort out the bad thing. And then people buy, and the people buy the idea once they are convinced about this idea of customer development process. So talk a lot. This customer development is fluid. It's a non-linear search for business models that sometimes last for years. About the pitch, once you have been doing all of this and you've been taking into account all of these concerns, you've got the facts, you've got the business model and so on, it's very easy then to write a pitch deck. The pitch deck is 10-20 slide presentation to give a short summary of your company, your business plan, your startup vision. So you can use it to have a meeting with an investor. You can use it to present in front of a stage, in front of other people, with investors, but there are different structures. If it is a demo day, for example, you pitch in front of people, then you have to get a pitch that is very visual, with very little text, because you have got to use a projector. But if you send your pitch to an investor, for example, then it has to be self-explanatory. Here is going to be seen on a laptop monitor, so you need some text to explain. You are not going to present it on stage, but it's going to be read by someone remotely. So typical structure of a pitch deck. I'm just doing now myself one for next Monday for my new startup. I've got the cover, the problem, solution, market, product, business model, which is a key point, which is how you're going to make money. Metrics. What is your strategy for growth? Who are your main competitors? It's good to have competitors. It's not bad to have competitors. You can never say to an investor, I don't have competitors. He won't believe you. You have competitors. And it's good to have competitors because it demonstrates that there is a market. Different competitive advantages of your solution. Your team skills, extremely important. We're going to come to that afterwards. And your need for investment. And then slide with science and your contact details. And these 13 slides are enough for you to demonstrate about your business model. You have been doing all the job, you've been doing all the searching, all the investigation, you've been transforming your hypotheses and guesses into facts. So you are ready to go for investment. I'm talking here about SUM. I guess you know what it is, but it's very important for the investors to know, to provide these figures. Total size, so TAM is total addressable market. What is the size of the market? Or how much turnover our business opportunity represents? It's interesting for investors because it gives an idea of the financial possibilities of the project and the possibility to scale. So how to get this? You can sum up the turnover of your main competitors, for example, or you look at studies and you get the total addressable market. Then there is a SAM, which is a serviceable available market. So it is a market we're able to serve with our current business model and the sales channels we have. So we have to size our capacity very well and how much market can we address with the team we have, with the resources we have. This indicates also the growth potential that we have defined. And we also can use our competitors as an example to calculate this sum. And the sum is what we want to get. We can reach, but then how much can we get? Okay. So we can take into account the size of the current market, but then the percentage of the market we can capture with our strategy for recruitment and resources, basically. How many people we're going to hire, what are we going to do, and with our current strategy, how many percentage of the market we can obtain. Top-down, so this analysis of the market can be very top-down. So top-down is basically macro level figures, macroeconomic figures. Okay, so you identify your market from the top, and then you try to make assumptions about how the size of the market is going to be, and then bottom up, we start with details, and we go up, and maybe it's a combination of the two, top down and bottom up, we really size the market more precisely. So it's quite a lot of work to do, but this has to be done if you want to convince investors. The team, so important for the team. The solution is inside the building for coding, testing, versioning, and the problem is outside the building. So people in interviews, customers, this do not have to be necessarily the same people, but these two aspects have to be taken into account. So inside and outside. And most of the time, we only concentrate on the inside because we believe that we will be known by staying in our office, and people will know about what's our solution. People will know about what we develop, and it's not true. We've got to go outside. Ideally, would be 2-3 people at the beginning, one for the architecture design, one for the development, and one for the marketing. Why 2 or 3? Because communication will be more easier. You will be less, so you will spend less. You have a minimum viable product with maybe less features, but you don't spend a lot of money. And your burn rate will be under control with little amount of people. If you start by having 10 people at the beginning, your burn rate cash flow will go very quickly down. I've got some links here, and then afterwards I'm going to show you an example of a pitch from Airbnb. So here you've got some links about difference between seed and funding, early stage funding, and so on. The last one is about startup pitch decks examples, like I've got Facebook here, you've got Uber as well. So you can have some information about how to prepare a deck. Some reading, so this famous book from Alexander Osterwalder, with Business Canvas. I guess you all know what it is. This book I've been using for this presentation because I think for me it's a key book that helps you a lot to drive your company further and to understand what has to be done. Forget about this traditional development way of doing things. Think about agile, think about customer development. So this discovery, validation, creation, company building, all these steps are very well described in this book. Some other books, Startup Way, which is a lean management startup from Eric Ries, and the complementary book, the second book he wrote. Sorry, this is in Spanish, the second one. But there are 2 different books, and I suggest you really to encourage you to read those books because they are very, very interesting. And finally, some other 2 books that helped me as well to understand how it works, what motivates us. It's all in Spanish, but you can find. I will try to find the wording in English. There are two excellent books. One is about what motivates people, and the other one is about selling is human. So I also encourage you to read those two books. So before I come to the example, I'm preparing a handbook with the next step to follow. So I'm compiling all these books into one handbook to help startups to get investment. Here I've got my contact detail, and I'll show you now this example. This is an example from Airbnb. So 20 slides, and I'm going to go quickly through them because we are really nearly out of time. So Airbnb, look at the logo and look at the pitch deck, and the sentence below explains everything. Book rooms with locals rather than hotels. This explains everything. We should all find a kind of motto, kind of sentence that summarizes what we do. Book rooms with locals rather than hotels. What is the problem? Price. Hotels leaves you disconnected from the city and its culture, and there is no easy way to book a room with a local or become a host. So this is where the idea of Airbnb came from. The solution, and you see it's very visual, it's all visual, very little text, a web platform where users can rent out their space to host travelers, to save money, to make money, and to share culture. Extremely visual, with pictures in the back side and pictures on the front side as well. Market demonstrates the investors that are aware about what the market is. So 670,000 total users. Houses about 17,000 temporarily using listing. So this is the market. The size, 2 billion trips booked worldwide. This is the total available market. The TAM, serviceable available market is 560 million. And then the share of market is trips versus Airbnb, 84 million. What is the product? You search by city. Then in the city, you search by listing. What is in the city? All very visual, you see, very easy to understand. And you book it. That's it. That's a product. Product, search, review, book. Business model, that's a key slide for the investors. We make a 10% commission on each transaction. So you get revenue projected by the end of 2011, $200 million. That was 8 years ago. Okay. So it's easy to understand numbers. 3 numbers, all very visual, figures that are understandable and credible. People will believe those figures. Like for example, $80 per night for 3 nights. That's quite understandable. And money at the end you're going to get. Market adoption, what do you plan to do to get product adopted on the market? You plan to go to events, you plan to have partnership, and so on. Competition, I guess here they didn't put any competitors because of confidentiality reason, but this is where they are. So they are in the affordable online transaction, and the other ways are offline and expensive. Advantage, competitive advantage, first to market, easy to use, profiles, and so on. The design of the Airbnb, and so on. The team, you put here a picture of the team and a brief summary of their CV, where they come from. Okay, so you can see that they are young people with quite experience in quite a lot of fields. Some already hints they've been achieving from the press, so comments from the press, testimonies, testimonials from people who have been using the product, and what you are looking for. What is the investment you are looking for? So this is directly targeted at the investors. I'm looking for 500K angel round. That was 8 years ago. And this is what we plan to do over 2 months, 12 months, 2 million revenues. We say thank you, and that's it. Okay. Okay, I finished. If you've got any question, you can contact me through this email address. I'm trying to enrich this presentation, making this guidebook, the handbook, so it will be sent to you in plan to finish in 2 or 3 months. This presentation will be sent to you as well after we finish the talk, and I'll give the floor back to Thomas.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much for your presentation. It has been very enlightening. Yeah, as you mentioned, this presentation will be made available via the URL you have below. So our typical bigdatavalue.eu resources webinar page, where you will find not only this particular webinar, but also the previous ones already recorded, plus the slides, and also the links to the new webinars. There is only one question, and it was related precisely to where to find these resources. But I have a very short two questions just to finalize, because we are running out of time. So you mentioned that you are going to provide a handbook. Is there any way that we can share the handbook when it is ready? Maybe using the same page, or?
Yes. I will put it online, the BDVe web page, when it's ready. So it will be free for everyone. So in 2-3 months, maybe we can make an advert and send an email to all the people who have been participating to this webinar and say, look, the handbook is ready, and it is ready at this page.
Okay, we'll do that. And then one practical questions when you try to address or to approach investors. So how do you select the appropriate investor, or how to approach them? Do you approach them in specific conferences, or you should have some kind of a preliminary, let's say, listing of the potential investors, or how do you approach them?
Yes, it's going to happen to me on Monday. So I'm part of a plan here in Murcia, southeast of Spain, where the plan is to help startups to prepare them to get investment. So I've got a pitch on Monday, and I've got a mentor who is helping at reviewing the deck. So I'm following, first of all, presentations from talkers, people talking, and then we prepare together with the mentor the slides. So he reviews the slides and gives his opinion, and it's going to be presented in a set of investment here in Murcia that's called Murcia Bar. Otherwise, other ways to get access to investors are attending events like, for example, the South Summit in Madrid. There were over 1,000 investors there. So if you participate to the event, you get, I got a book with all the investors. So I'm trying to select the ones that are of interest for me. Of course, not every investor is going to invest in any technology. So you've got some segments, like, for example, social impact, which is a solution I'm developing. So I'm trying to find investors interested in social impact. So there are different ways to find investors. It's a long way, because I mean, it's not easy. Of course, you have got to be prepared to fail, because you will have to make a lot of presentation before you get investors being interested in your idea. But the more you make, and the less you make mistakes, and the more you are ready, so the much more chances you have to get funding at the end.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. I think it was a very interesting presentation. As I mentioned before, I will upload the presentation and the recording of the webinar in this URL that you can find in the screen. most probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So you will have the possibility of searching it there. You will receive also an email from automatic email for all the audience stating the web page. So don't worry, you don't have a pen now to write it down, but because you will receive an email with the link in any case tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Thank you everybody to attend, and yeah, have a nice week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.